Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back after a week's rest. I just thought it was apt to put that right at the end of the intro there, considering what's gone on, this week. I know it's not new in the world of, mental health and stuff like that. However, what I've seen on social media and stuff like that has been heartwarming, really, considering, us stubborn men don't talk about stuff like that. I've seen more and more of it on social media this week. And rest in peace, Chris. He seems to have made a massive wave on social media this week, hasn't he?
And it's quite interesting because I've got a feeling it's...
We've just lost you there, Anne-Marie sound. Well, whatever. Yeah, we just lost your sound. Yeah, Paddy, I just feel it's like Anne-Marie sort of like said then before we lost the sound. Suicide Prevention Week, and it's sad. Us big thick blokes need to start talking more, don't we?
We certainly do. I think it's the ratio of for every female, most definitely in Ireland, for every female is 4 males who take their own lives. It's just, no, the figures are coming down. There's more stuff happening within schools and stuff like that. This kind of toxic masculinity is on the decrease. Thank God that men now know that it's all right. They talk, that mental health is health. You can't divide the two. Your health is your health. Should it be physical health or mental health?
Absolutely.
One influences the other. You can't have good mental health and bad physical health. They have to be working together. The more awareness is the key. And getting the message out there. Like the life is shit at times. But once you have a good support network around you, and you'd often hear, I would say, that recent one, like, I'm sure if you listen to his friends, it says, well, why didn't you pick the phone up or why didn't you call? Like, no. But people don't do that, they see suicide as a solution to end the pain. It's not that they want to end their lives, they want to end the pain, the turmoil that they find themselves in, and they see suicide as a solution to that, but in reality, it certainly makes the pain go away, but it leaves a lot of pain behind too.
Yeah, and I know on the grand scheme of things, it probably means nothing, but, I just wanted to dedicate, today's show to Chris. I know people up and down the world do, stuff like that, but it just feels like, even though I never knew Chris, it felt like I did, with reading some of the things. So rest in peace, Chris. Our thoughts are with, friends and family. Good evening, Stan. I should say good afternoon, Stan.
Good afternoon, Stan.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm all right, feeling a lot better. I thought I'd rendered Anne-Marie dumbstruck then with the sheer presence.
You did?
Well,
you took my breath, didn't you?
Well, not last week, the week before. We had a bit of a joke then. It was like Echo and the Bunnymen, wasn't it? But I have listened to the show back, and I did enjoy it. Good evening, everybody who's in the chat. Big Mark, Daniel, Steve, Keith, Gordon, Harvey. Big Morg, I think I said Big Morg. Yeah, good afternoon. We just thought we'd try a 4 o'clocker today, so people can enjoy the rest of the evening. So the floor's open to any city chat today. So if you want to ask us anything in the chat and stuff like that, throw it out, because to be quite frank, I can't stand international breaks. And I'll be honest, I went out yesterday to watch the match, as you do. Didn't even get out the beer garden. Didn't even know what score it was at the end. But since then,
just like to ask, because Southgate got a brain.
He didn't. You have that midfield and you don't play it. But
I'll be going 45 minutes early tonight anyway, Andy. to get the 45 minutes back of my life that you made me waste watching it because I thought we'll be talking about it today. I couldn't handle the first half. I saw the half-time score and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to dip my toe in this. I don't know why. You never learn, do you? You never learn.
Yeah, be careful you're dipping in. You. And Marie, yeah, fan of internationals?
No, hate them.
Yeah. So, right, for the guys in the chat, unfortunately, it's going to have to be UK only. UK only. We're going to do a buzzword today. The buzzword is going to be bananas. You know, and so listen out for one of us. No, I'll have it. Listen out for me saying bananas throughout the course of the show. As soon as you hear me say bananas, the first one in chat will get a nice mug from our great sponsors. So bananas. Speaking of bananas, so yeah, Stan, you okay, mate?
Yeah, I wrote on the forum yesterday what I thought, and I've not changed. That was before the end of the game. I've not changed my mind one little bit. He should be on the register to show his passport at kick-off time to make sure we know he's nowhere near the football ground. That's Gareth Southgate talking about, Mr. Waistcoat himself. There isn't a problem with the team. I don't know, the first six pick themselves, don't they? Mm-hmm. Bellingham, Foden, Rice, and Rashford on one wing. You can have Saka on the other with Kane in the middle. You won't really need a defence behind that. But no, Mr. Brains has got Henderson in there.
Did he not play that time?
Did he? No, he didn't play that. He had Captain Henderson, Jordan Henderson, Captain Calamity, and, we did well to draw with Ukraine in Poland. It's not even a away game.
I enjoyed it from the beer garden because I had about, I think it was about.
Yeah, you enjoyed it in the beer garden. You enjoyed it in the beer garden because you didn't watch it.
Exactly, that's why I enjoyed it. I had about 8 pints of Moretti, mate. So I thought it was the best 90 minutes I've had for a long, long time. And Marie,
just on his team selection, when he took the job, he said his words were that he'd be picking a team on form, not names, on form, and yet we see Maguire not played a game, not started a game yet this season for United. Not started a game yet this season for City.
Oh, we're losing your voice.
Up to the squad.
Yeah, and I get that. He's and you're quite right. He did say that, you know, we will pick players on form. Now, Harry Maguire and Calvin Phillips, to be fair, they must be the best form players of any international. And to be fair, I felt sorry for Phillips a little bit because he's put him in the focus, you know, in the spotlight even more by being announced in the squad, you know, ahead of some other players, like even Sterling. I think Sterling started the season off really, really well for Chelsea. Sterling didn't get in it, so. Yeah. You're not a fan, are you, Stan, by the sounds of it, Southgate?
No, I think, to be fair to Phillips, though, I think he's played his way out of form to get into the England team. I think you've got to be really bad to force your way into the team. And anyone, I don't know, if there was only somebody out there that had won the treble within the last 3 months that, I don't know, might have made a difference from the beginning. But obviously, young Phil's done his best to manage to get on the bench, so fair play to him. Can't get any better than that.
Did he not play Foden?
No.
He brought him on.
Well, look, in one way, it's good because at least he's not playing and he'd be fresh for us. So fucking best of luck to Southgate.
I'm going to have to go with Pardo Oates on that one. Walker was brilliant yesterday. Fair play to him. And he has been all right all season. So, you know. I mean, obviously, a lot of what we're saying isn't tongue-in-cheek. We really do think this. The guy's an absolute blistering buffoon. But what do you do?
Just reading what Daniel says. Daniel says, if you watch the game carefully, you can see that Southgate wanted to play a 3-5-2 in build-up, and he had Henderson in the right-sided 10 role. You're not impressed, Anne-Marie, are you?
Not in the least. I can't. For me, Henderson's past it. He's past his best. And, you know, he's gone against everything he said before the World Cup and gone and joined Saudi. I think he's a hypocrite. So for me, he wouldn't have got picked at all. And when you're playing the likes of him and leaving the likes of Foden, who is in great form, it's ridiculous.
And that's what Stevie Belfast is saying there. Southgate doesn't like Foden. I think you're absolutely right there, Stevie. Is it a case of Southgate doesn't like him but picks him in the squad because he'd probably feel a bit of pressure from England fans if he's not? But I'm at the stage now where the players have gone. I used to like watching City players, play for the the countries they represent. I'm not overly bothered now because it's City first for me. Paddy, are you feeling the same?
I wouldn't watch international football was played outside that door. I have no interest in it whatsoever.
What if it was played in your garden? You'd close the curtains.
Exactly. But I give the players want to play, obviously, because it's prestige and playing for your country. There's an honour in that or whatever, but it doesn't interest me in the slightest. But if you have a manager and he's picking Henderson over Foden, like
I like that. Do you know what? Last year there was a bit of split in the City fan base. Reading the comments on here about Southgate, it's probably the only thing I've seen everybody join together in agreement for about 2 years. Yeah. Everybody wants him out. And I think the only reason that I can give that he doesn't play Foden, that he's still a bit with him, with what went on. Was it with Greenwood when or Rashford? In Iceland.
They got women back in the hotel or something.
Wait, was it Stan? Was it Iceland or was it Asda?
Sainsbury's.
No, it was definitely in the Frozen Fingers Island in Iceland.
I've
been dreaming of the frozen department of Iceland in this weather, just sitting in there.
I'm sorry to interrupt you now. Carry on.
Well, you've been warned. And
on a serious note, there's not a country, I think, in the world at the minute that has a strength of squad that England have.
I think you're about right there, Paddy. I must admit, for the first time in a long, long time, you start looking at that England team thinking,
I thought you meant Paddy. First time in a long time that you're right, Paddy.
Yeah, not often. I like to surprise people.
No, it's just there is a lot of good talent in there. It's a decent squad.
An unbelievable squad. It's the best squad that I can see. And I know France has Mbappe and all that kind of carry on. He's one player. Them 6 players that you listed out there at the start, Stan, that's your starting 6. That's your front 6.
If Pep had that squad, Anne-Marie, he'd win a lot of stuff, wouldn't he? I agree with what Daniel's saying there. Listen, Ward-Prowse not in the squad. I think Ward-Prowse has had a great start to his West Ham life, not just with the goal and stuff like that, but his general play. If somebody
his set play is far better than any other player in that team, Ward-Prowse.
There's 2 players. There's 2 players straight off the bat. There'll be more. I can't think of him, and I won't get the name right if I did. But Ward-Prowse and Sterling, they were in the squad. It's not just that squad. There's players outside there that are decent, and I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what's. I don't know. You got Ivan Toney coming back yet? At least you'll know what the result is, and you know whether to watch it or not. And I say that He was found guilty though, wasn't he? So I can say that.
We'll stick with allegedly.
No, he was found guilty, so I think we're all right.
Well, allegedly, there's big trouble brewing again at Old Trafford, isn't there?
Well, there seems to be
I'll tell you what.
There seems to be a lot. There does seem to be a lot. Brewing at Old Trafford. I think it's only right.
Manchester United.
No, but it's on something serious now. It's interesting to see they had to issue an apology this week because they invited one of the old managers from the women's team to watch a game last season, and said manager was on the sex offenders register.
Convicted.
Oh, yes.
Convicted. Child abuse. Convicted.
Yeah.
So you're all right, Andy. We can talk about it.
So there's that. And
2011.
Yeah, and all this now with Anthony as well. And he's a nasty piece of work.
They have a busy legal department, that's for sure.
Did you know something? They used to call us a bit of Bernard Manning, to be fair, used to call us the comedy club and stuff like that. I can't believe at the moment the Rags are just the gift what just keeps giving out there. It's just one drama. We was never that bad. We was never ever that bad. They shouldn't be on Sky or BT. Sorry, TNT now. All their games should be played on the Comedy Channel.
Yeah.
They really
show there on top of that.
Yeah.
They should have their own Twitter channel, Treble X.
But then even last week after the Arsenal game, what's Ten Hag doing? Digging out Sancho. If you're going to do that, you do it in private.
What about that? Yeah.
Okay, let's throw it. Oh, sorry, I thought I'd seen something in chat and it wasn't what I read. As I say, the floor is out. The floor's open to any chat today. So it doesn't matter whether we talk about laughing at the Rags. I love that clip, by the way. Whether how the season's gone on, let's talk about absolutely anything. But let's take a second to laugh at the Rags because, as I say, they are just the gift what just keeps giving at the minute.
To be fair, there's not really much going on, is there? If you disregard Sancho, Greenwood, Anthony, Poundland Pep, the nonce that they brought to the game. It's all been it's all very quiet over there. Must be international week.
I think this will be our last stream.
No, but it's
been convicted. It's been convicted. It's all right.
In the transfer window, they put Greenwood out on loan.
Yeah.
So it just makes me wonder what happens when that loan's up. Because there's no way they can bring him back into the club because of all the uproar it caused anyway. And if the rumours are true, they tried to get rid of Sancho to Saudi Arabia last week because they're transferred on Friday night.
So what's your thoughts on Sancho? The way he's come out in social media, pretty much against the club and against the manager. Is it? I know. The wish Pep had come out and had a bit of a dig at him. So do you agree with him coming out and a bit of petulance to the manager and the club, or should he have just stayed silent then?
Well, he's got form for it, hasn't he? That's why he left City. He started moaning at Pep and he wanted game time, he wanted minutes, he wanted this, that and the other, and he wanted guarantees before he went on that tour of America. So it's not as though, they can't say they didn't know what sort of a character he was. Now, he might be right in this one. I mean, you shouldn't really be hanging people out to dry like that, but they're having to get rid of players, and it's clearly a problem. He was all right in Germany because it's a farmers' league, and he's never really going to get stretched. So everything's all right. He's playing every week, and he's doing all right. He's not going to complain, is he? But he's come back here now. He's realised he's not what he thinks he is, and so's the club. And it was interesting that they wanted at least 50 million for him. This is 50 million for a young lad that they spent 80 million on 2 years ago. So they're already looking at a 30 million hit.
I can understand both sides here because Pep sort of came out and which it wasn't a dig to De Bruyne. De Bruyne answered it by when he was asked about it, he pretty much brushed off and said, that's Pep's opinion. And then De Bruyne come back absolutely in great form again. It was more of a G up, from Pep towards De Bruyne. But I get the feeling Ten Hag was more critical. And I think the difference is it wasn't just about his form. He actually mentioned pretty much about his mental health. Things like that should be taken care of in-house, in my opinion, because
it's the second time he's done it with him. It was quite a period of time where he wasn't training with the first team. And I think part of me does think that he's being hung out to dry. Now, I've got no issue with it because I don't, but it's like Phillips was slagged off for coming back supposedly overweight after the World Cup. He didn't come out and have a go at Pep saying, "No, I'm not overweight."
He just got on. He just got
took it on the chin and got on with it. And I think
he took on his chins.
Yes,
that's the thing, though. That's what happens when you order Pep from Wish, like Andy was saying before. That you're not going to quite get the same impact. He'll choose his words. He'll choose his words carefully, Pep, and it'd be right on the edge, but not over the edge. Whereas Ten Hag will come in and, like you say, criticise his mental health and all this, that, and the other.
I think Ten Hag played a blinder because United threw that game away, and what was the media talking about? Sancho.
Yeah. Sancho.
What did he call it? Dead cat. They threw him. They threw a dead cat on the table, didn't they? That's the phrase for it. When things start getting sticky, you throw a dead cat on, and then everyone goes, "What's that?" And they're looking away, thinking, "What's going on?"
How the hell do you throw a dead cat? You'll have to show me how, mate.
I can show you. It's not a problem. We just need. There's 1,001 ways.
There's a fella at West Ham will be tell you about cats.
Elliot makes a great point there. Good afternoon, Elliot. We're early today, mate. Evening, everyone. Really makes you realise how lucky we are. People slag the board and the club off when you look down the road. When you look down the road. That is a mess. Question for everyone. Thoughts on KP, Calvin Phillips cameo versus Fulham? I thought he did okay, to be fair, mate.
So did I. I was just about to say that.
And what I get from that, Anne-Marie, the impression... I can't see you there. Let me take that comment away. Can see you now. And what I generally got from that, people give him a good round of applause, and it wasn't sort of like a sympathetic one. It was more of an encouraging one than like we saw when Maguire come. Maguire come on against whoever they put Arsenal, where Arsenal was basically taking the piss out of him, going, "Hey!" With Calvin, he was support, and I noticed the Geordies was as well. To be fair to the Fulham player fans were doing exactly the same. Which
I thought he looked decent when he came on, and I'll tell you who else did, and I think didn't get any credit towards that third goal we scored. Oscar Bob looks decent,
but
I think you're nuts. To be honest with you, I honestly do. I think you're nuts.
What, KP?
Yeah. You did well there, Andy. I have to do it twice, but you got there. Fair play to you.
You leave my nuts
just
alone.
Tip that one. You've clawed that one out of the top corner. Fair play to you.
They call me the cat for a reason.
Marie says there about Oscar
I
Bob
think you fall asleep anyway.
and the new fella Ducko as well. As long as we don't convert them into pass-back merchants.
One second, guys. 1 second. I've just got to nip off. 1 second.
Because
yeah, and you're quite right there, Paddy.
Jeez, is he all right?
I'm not sure.
Do you know who played well in that game when he came on and he played out of position was Gomez?
Yeah, and again, I'm glad because Calvin Phillips. I'm going to concentrate on Calvin Phillips and Gomez because they've been sort of like taking the, a bit of a whack from some City fans, and I can sort of see why, but then they responded in the right way. Have we got
he played Gomez in the position he plays for Spain.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
And it makes a hell of it. Like if you look at that pass to Haaland for Haaland's goal, third goal, or whatever it was, that wasn't by accident. He looked straight across that pitch and picked Haaland out.
And I just thought it was. And I know it was what over a week ago the match and stuff like that now, but obviously we wasn't on last week for reasons. But I thought it was a great performance from us, and Haaland again. It's just people can say he's a tapping merchant and stuff like that, but it's just absolutely bananas what that lad can do. It really.
I put that up in the group that he had 17 touches in that match, and 3 of them were goals and 1 was an assist. And somebody put an interesting comment on it, and they were right, that a few of them were clearance headers from their corners. So, his job is to put that ball in the back of your net. I don't care how many times he touches the ball. It's as simple as that. He's doing his job. What can you do?
So, what Doku, I just don't. People don't put too much pressure on him because when he was potentially signing for us and stuff like that, people saying he's a world beater, he's brilliant. I thought he started off, and rightly so, a little bit. How can I put it? Nervous when he was on the right. Kicked the ball out a couple of times. He looks significantly better when he went over to the left, Anne-Marie. Can't hear you, Anne-Marie. You was echoing like mad last week. And I know we can't hear you. We no hear you. Yeah, I just thought he looked significantly better, and we'll only ever be honest on it. We're not critical of players and stuff like that. I just thought whether he got into the game more, as the game went on, but I just do think he looked significantly better on the left.
He's a serious baller, and I just hope the Pep doesn't convert him into a pass-back merchant because he knows how to take a man on, and that's what we want to see. Because if he's doing that, he make runs.
I think he will, Paddy. I think he will. I think he will start taking players on. I think we're going to be seeing.
I lose my mic.
You did,
Dan. It's your fault.
It's like celebrity squares now, isn't it? Just keep moving.
Yeah. Well, just no celebrities, just full of squares. I think you're right, Paddy.
I think what he's doing there. Hard last week.
Like Pardo Oaks there. Good afternoon, pal. I keep saying good evening for some reason. I keep forgetting earlier. Yeah, it was only Fulham, mate. But
Fulham
we can only
retain men.
Yeah, but we can only beat and play what's in front of us, whether it was Fulham or whoever. I think it's something. I think what I'm trying to say is something to build on in it. Where it's gone from not really getting any game time to coming on. I think he got about 15 minutes, and it looked okay when he come on. So yeah, all I will say is we're not saying he's ready for a start and stuff like that, but it's something for me, in my opinion, it's something to build on, Anne-Marie.
Absolutely. And you just need to kind of, I don't like comparing it, but just for fun, really, I'm going to compare. You look at City and the substitutions we're making, and then look at United and the substitutions they had to make against Arsenal last week. Having to bring on Maguire and a 35-year-old Johnny Evans to
Listen,
who then conceded 2 goals.
Manchester United.
I can't help it. It must be this heat what's gone to me.
Oh, Jesus.
It just shows you how lucky we are and how far we've come.
By the way, Martin, I hope you're not driving and texting, mate. Yeah, and it does show you, doesn't it? Because it's the quality what we've got on it. And let's not forget, Stones has not been in the squad yet. KDB, by the way, his recovery is going well from what I'm seeing on social media and stuff like that. Who could potentially be back for Christmas. So that's when it starts getting to the nitty gritty, isn't it, Stan?
Yeah, just after Christmas, you start looking at your January, February's, and by that time, I think what you were saying earlier about Doku was interesting, Paddy. I think we're going to be preparing ourselves for another little tactical shift from Pep, just to keep ourselves a little bit ahead. Other teams will have had all summer to figure us out. He'll just start moving things across a little bit more. I saw an interesting video the other day about Nunes, that his figures aren't really great, apart from one thing, and that's carries. And the suggestion was that he might not necessarily play in that deep role with Rodri, but if they move him up a little bit, he can then carry the ball into the attacking third. And then if you've got Doku taking people on one side or the other, you've got him there, you've got the usual array of characters, and you've got Haaland up front. It's opening up a few more channels where we can attack from, rather than, knocking the ball around and then waiting for an opening to develop. Maybe because we have to play 11 men against the ball now. It's not even 9 men, it's 11 men.
Stan,
We've got to try and snip out them spaces.
Let me ask you something, mate. I'll start with you before I go to Anne-Marie and Paddy. Does this mean, considering it was Doku's first game for us and we saw him, attacking, does that mean we could potentially see Grealish going to his Aston Villa days of starting to attack players? Have we gone from attacking with the Sannies and the Sterlings to being more possession based? Now are we going to see the likes of a Sanny style and a Sterling style now with Grealish and Doku? Like you said, when people think that they've sussed us out, all of a sudden Pep's gone, yeah, you might have sussed us out, but we're going to be playing this way now. You've got to restart thinking what you're going to do to combat us.
That's a great question, because I don't think at the moment we've seen enough to know the answer. Sane was speedy, but he didn't seem to take players on. I think what they were doing there with that Sane era was getting the ball behind the defence and getting us to, with speed to get on it. We can't do that now. So we need guys who can operate with speed and keep the ball. Now, I'm not always sure if he's going to do that with Grealish, because obviously with Grealish and Mahrez, we had lads that would keep the ball and come back in. Maybe he will. Maybe he will use him to go forward.
Big Mark. Big Morg's got the buzzword. Congratulations, Big Morg. Give us a shout after the show, buddy, and we'll sort it out.
He's been writing bananas on there for the last 5 minutes. He was bound to get it right. So it was. I don't think he's going to want both sides to be doing the same thing. I think Doku going one side and doing something gives one fullback a problem. Then they switch the wingers, and then the other guy's got that problem. And he'll just probe, and then probably, depending on what it is at half time on the day, whoever's not getting any change, that's who Doku will target. I don't know. Well, it's one to keep our eye on. It's certainly something worth looking out for anyway. I wouldn't like to want the second guess Pep.
Paddy, what Pardo Oak says there, and I sort of get this. Pardo Oak says you all don't look so with me today. You all have short memories. Southampton last year in the Carabao Cup, Gomez, Phillips were rank. That's why we lost. I seem to think it was two pretty much mistakes from Ortega. What contributed to the loss. And granted, we didn't play well. I agree with you there, Pardo, mate. But it was two individual errors what really cost us. Paddy?
How far do you want to go back? Players are going to have bad games. That first team or starting 11, you could say the first choice 11 were beat by Brentford twice.
And deservedly.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, listen to that Doco fella after the match. He made an interesting comment, and it's a problem that our attacking wingers have all the time. He says, the minute I get the ball, there was two men on me. Mm-hmm. Grealish is the same. Sterling had it before him, and Sané before him. And you don't necessarily see that. That Saka fella at Arsenal, he's always one-on-one. I would like to see Grealish one-on-one, or Ducko or Oscar Bob one-on-one, because I know what the outcome's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Done that release? That could be good though, because while you've got two or three players, and we have seen it many times with Grealish, where he's had two or three players on him. That is leaving space for the likes of your Haaland, or a ball coming to KDB who can slip Haaland through.
That's the other thing, Andy. Like, you'll have two or three on our wingers. You're definitely going to have two or three on Haaland, and that's why Alvarez is playing.
Mm-hmm. Who started the season off brilliantly, by the way.
It's not just Haaland. It's not just Alvarez either, will it? It creates that little gap between the lines where last year Gundogan could get in, and now this year Rodri's getting in, and this is why these guys are suddenly starting to score more. Because that space is coming a little bit further back from the forwards. Let's not forget, obviously, Haaland's pulling his weight. But then, people that you're not expecting are all chipping in. And that's because, like you said, Paddy, there's four players tied up with two. And it's creating spaces. Yeah. Sorry, Amber, you're next on there. I just wanted to jump in with that before.
No, that's all right.
Before I forgot.
Question is now, but there we go.
You don't sound right tonight, Anne-Marie. You're not echoing about.
Well, I thought I'd try and improve it a little bit. Very, sincere apologies for the last one. Technical issues, which I saw.
And the one before, and the one before, and the one before, and the one before. Pardo asks, will they all be fit, against West Ham next week? The only injuries what I'm hit, what I'm seeing is obviously KDB. Stones has got a chance of being available, and because he was supposedly out till internationals, and Grealish was injured. I don't think Grealish has been fit at all this season, and he's had a little bit of stick, the lad. I think people need to remember what Grealish is about rather than.
Why do you think he's not fit?
It's nothing lifestyle. It's sometimes because he gets kicked at God knows how many times every single match, mate. You can only get kicked so many times before it does start affecting you.
Yeah, I think you need to. In terms of him and Foden, seem to have trimmed down big time. The Foden and that match against Fulham is just the way that ball retention that he's able to do is. It's mind blowing. Like the only people is like Silva.
Yeah, Pardo says there. Bob looks a natural replacement for our. For what is up with me today? For Mahrez. I think it's two different types of player. Mahrez was a ball retention player. You very rarely seen him, being offensive. We know Anne-Marie used to be offensive towards him, but that's another story. Different kinds of players, but I don't want to see too much pressure, on the likes of Bob, because we put a lot of pressure on Cole Palmer. And look, although we've got a great fee for Cole, and I don't go along with what people say about it's because he had a bad attitude, a bit like Sancho. Then there are absolutely unfounded things what I'm hearing people say. I just think Cole Palmer was cross between City fans, me included, putting a little bit of pressure on him to make that step up. And I can see the similarities now with Oscar Bob. Whereas if he doesn't quite make it Oscar Bob, maybe it's what I've said for a while. It's a chasm coming from our academy to our first team, and you've got to be extra special, like your Fodens and like your Lewises, to make it.
It's a big leap. The mere fact that they're in around the first team tells you all you need to know, because Pep doesn't surround himself with players that are not capable. Like he likes intelligent players who can play multiple roles. Like Doku switched in that Fulham match from the right hand side to the left hand side, and like you could argue say he was better on the left hand side. But,
yeah, Martin says direct didn't work in the first half, but when we went to control again, we bagged goals. So I wouldn't want a huge tactical shift, to be honest. Well, Stan, what I would say to that is Fulham was sorry.
That looked totally wrong, didn't it?
Yeah. You're gonna get team Stan. What? Fulham was pretty much just wanted to get at us. Whereas if we was offensive, say against an Arsenal or an offensive team, that directness would have worked in the first half anyway. I think so anyway.
I don't think one half is enough to judge on whether the system's worked or not. It's very rarely you're going to end up with the system you want. What I mean by that is that, do you remember we were talking about Rico Lewis last year and we were wondering why Kev De Bruyne wasn't playing quite as well? Then we realised it was actually John Stones that they wanted in there to do that role, but they threw the keeper out to give Rico a little bit of a bonus to start playing, and then he could have a little look at what had gone on and whether that system had worked. So I don't know. You've got to be. I know where Martin's coming from, and it is a fair point. And like I said, that you're never quite sure where Pep's going to end up. But and that's why I said I'd rather he was looking at something and developing, which is what I'm doing. I can't figure out where he's going with this. He probably is not quite sure, although he's got an idea in his head where he wants to go. I know what I've said there all sounds a bit confusing, but I think you know what I'm getting at. That he's clearly making a move. He's making a move from, one system of play to his next. Where that'll end up, that's it is what it is. But it certainly looks like from what he signed and the way they play, he is moving towards another shift.
I'll tell you one thing.
That enjoyment. Let's see what it is.
One thing that was evident for me is I know we got the 2 results when Pep wasn't there, but we definitely need him on that sideline.
Yeah.
It was a big miss. I don't think that
Lilo wasn't out enough.
Kevin Keegan didn't come out to that touchline until the second half.
Well, the Lilo wasn't out.
No, not the second half. Like you need. Think about. I know we got the results, whatever, but I'm telling you, it was like a ship without a captain. Pep
He only came out at the end of the first half when it was all kicking off after the second goal went in.
Well, to be fair, we shouldn't have really needed Pep for those 2 games. No disrespect to Sheffield United and Fulham. You'd expect, especially at the Etihad.
You still do, and you still need him there to make them little tweaks and little changes and things that he sees in the game. And maybe, like Pep changes a game. Like you'd often see him changing tactics mid-game, or something's not working, or especially when they come out in the second half. If we're coming up against a block, when the team come out in the second half, they seem to have information how to overcome that block. And
He did watch it. He did watch it. He watched it on a dodgy Fire Stick.
He did, yeah. But like he definitely, I think the team definitely missed him.
I tell you what, I've been impressed with Anne-Marie this season so far. I know it's only a few games in, Kovacic. I just think he's just slotted in magnificently. And I think it was Rodri who said something on the lines of, you know, he's got somebody now who can sit there. And he wasn't having a pop at Phillips when he said that. He's got somebody who can sit there now. So I think you will see Rodri score more goals and go more forward now, because they seem like telepathetic, don't they?
Yeah, and he looks like he's played in the team for years, to be fair.
I'm laughing there. You said telepathetic. Do you mean telepathic?
Yeah, he thinks he's being funny, Stan. Don't encourage him. That's why I was ignoring it. But yeah, he's fitted in really well. And the odd time you see him make the run and he's carrying the ball, and you'd like him to have a shot, because I'm sure, I'm sure he could score a few himself. But he looks like he's been with us for years. He's just completely fitted in.
And not alone him, but Gavin's gone along with him.
Yeah.
Pardo Oaks there. It's a big leap from our EDS to the first team, but not to any other first team in the Premier League. Yeah, I've said that a few times, mate. If it was a Brentford or something like that, and again, no disrespect to Brentford, going from a Brentford EDS to Brentford first team, that transition is a little bit easier. It's a chasm.
It's still a lot, Andy. It's still like for any EDS team or youth team, the transition from that into any first team in that Premiership, it's quite a lot. I know the gulf in our team it seems to be bigger, but it's still quite a lot.
I'm getting the word.
Yes, the first teamer.
I'm getting the word Southampton there, Paddy.
Yeah.
Who are you, Mystic Meg? I'm getting the word Southampton. Adam, it was. I bought the shirt from the club shop while Sergio was still with us, and I sent it off to, don't say that. Don't say that. That'd distress me.
You said while he's still with us.
While he was still playing for us, and I sent it off to City. There's an email address you can where you can send stuff off, and you can get the players to sign stuff rather than go through these big things. But also Premier Events do some really great stuff. Anybody knows Eddie Sparrow, all decent stuff, all proper stuff as well. So yeah.
You still haven't answered the question.
What's that?
The question that he asked you. How much?
How much?
Yeah.
It cost me out. I got it signed for nothing from Sergio from the shop, from the club. I sent the shirt away to the club, and then they sent it back to me once Sergio had signed it. Stan, that looks so wrong, mate. We can't hardly see your face, and we just see you stuff things in your mouth. It's not even 5 o'clock. Thank God it's a Calippo. Bloody Nora.
What did you think? It's bloody boiling here. Go on, anyway.
Oh, Andy, Mr. Arrogant. Why am I arrogant, mate? Let us know. That's lost. Stan, you're losing me a lot today, mate. Anne-Marie, talk some sense.
Well, I'll try, but just Stan, do you think it's only hot there, darling, or do you think the rest of us might be sweating out?
You might do, but if you want to get a Clippo, colour Clippos, product endorsement, well worth them.
Yeah, we're a bit more professional.
Nobody's stopping you eating one, are you? I've got brain freeze now, anyway.
You're fucking boring.
Unacceptable.
I tell you what, man. It looks a bit like 9320 PUBcast only fans, doesn't it? You know, we stand there.
There's money in that.
We're supposed to be talking about football here, for God's sake.
I've got brain freeze.
Are you just trying to prove you've got one?
Free.
I'm just
I don't know what it is, but it's working.
So West Ham, very, very tough place to go. West Ham. They started off really, really well.
Yeah, but we want to shut them down, singing Champions of Europe.
Well,
Are they taking the mick? It's a Mickey Mouse Cup they won.
No, come on, listen. If we was West Ham, but I've not really won anything, we'd love to have won that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but we wouldn't be standing in our ground singing Champions of Europe.
We would.
Yes, we would.
We wouldn't. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup.
But hang on. I mean, that is. We would be exactly the same. Listen, when we won that job,
I think we'd be singing with Champions of Europe. Oh, Papa John's, to be fair.
We would be. I'm. You know something. I'm glad for West Ham that they've always been. I know a few West Ham fans, and they're all great.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad West Ham won the trophy, but I think they've got a nerve to be singing Champions of Europe when you look at what we won last season.
No, I think they've.
No. To sing that.
What do you want them to sing? Nothing.
Go back to blowing the bloody bubbles.
That was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Come on, behave.
Or Stan. Oh, where's this show going? You know something? 2 weeks ago, it went perfectly well, and I'm back. And you know.
Yeah. And what's the problem? What do you see as the common denominator between a really good show 2 weeks ago and what's happening today?
Exactly.
Could it be you, Savage?
And anyway, West Ham will be a tricky game. So hopefully Stonesy will be back. We've not really seen much of Gvardiol, have we? Or as Paddy says, Gaviscon.
He's been playing left back though when he has played, hasn't he?
But he didn't play against Fulham.
No, Aki did and did a decent job. Scored a goal that maybe shouldn't have stood, but
Definitely shouldn't have scored.
However, he contributed to the one we conceded.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love Aki.
Paddy. I do agree with you, Paddy. We were very lucky to get that goal. There's no doubt about it. But riddle me this. If Aki was stood in the way of the keeper, why has the keeper had to dive about 10 yards to his right to get the ball? I don't think Aki was stood in his way. I'm not saying players weren't stood in it.
Did you watch it?
Stop
got brain freeze. Akanji.
Well, that's you, Martin. I watch over you, and you don't sing at all. You go 10 minutes from the end, mate. All the singing's done 10 minutes from the end, but you don't see that because you're not there 10 minutes from the end.
You must be watching the soy stand because there's no singing in the family stand.
How do you know from your fire stick?
Hey, never mind the fire stick. You're a spoiled now. I used to have to watch.
It's all kicked off in an academy of 10 minutes and fire sticks. Let's get back to West Ham.
So Martin says some fella above me with a bald head was singing it though. Ha ha. Yes, I was singing, mate. And that fellow with the bald head is quite right with me because I sing for 90 plus minutes, mate. 90 plus, not 80 minutes before people start going. Anyway, sorry, Stan.
Brain freeze to him.
Has he frozen? Yeah, I think he has got frame.
Oh, man.
Frame. All right, go on.
No, I can hear you. What was the question?
The question was, what's the common denominator of all this filth and it's Anne-Marie?
Oh, it's you, isn't it? You weren't here, now you're here.
Rest my
Not-
case.
Not rocket science. Yeah. You got it in Echo 2 weeks ago, so it's definitely not Amber Ace. You did about 3 weeks of talking on that.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to tell you something here now, and I have got to be serious, and it's not about football.
It's not
You know,
past 9 o'clock. Relax yourself.
Are any of you aware that you can put a Cadbury's flake in a microwave and it doesn't melt?
No. Why would I want to do that though?
Yeah.
He's not switched it on, has he? He's just put it in the microwave. He's not switched it on.
I meant switching it on you, goon.
Well, you need to say these things.
Oh God, I think the heat's gone to our head today, mate. Martin says, I do have some fella taking photos of me for some reason. Yeah. Well, I don't from 80 minutes onwards, mate.
You see, I'm of the opinion, I don't get why, particularly this season, people leave on 80 minutes or 75 minutes when you know there could be another 10 minutes or more of added on time.
Yeah, we saw that with Arsenal, didn't we, against the Rags? You know, when they was all walking down there, when they scored, it was at 1-1 when they all went. I just don't see the benefits of it.
Look, people can do that for whatever reasons. If you want to leave, you paid your money. You might necessarily agree with it, but it's an individual choice. You don't have to agree with it.
Absolutely, Paddy. But it just seems that it just makes me wonder now when they're playing all this extra, all this added time, why you would go when there's still maybe 20 minutes of the game to go. That's all. I'm just kind of wondering.
That continues on a consistent basis, but there's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes added on at the end of the match. You'll probably see them staying to the 90 minutes and then going away, rather than going on the 80 minutes.
Where does it all go now with this time, though? Because I don't. If anything, I've seen less time wasting now with more added on time this season. So I just don't know. I just don't know where it's going to go. We're going to see pretty much a 2 hour plus game.
We won't. There's no chance of that. That will not happen. And I tell you what, by Christmas, you'll be back down to 2, 3, 4 minutes. Because I tell you now, these TV companies don't realise if you're playing 15 minutes extra, it's starting to impact onto their time and presentation of the following game. And they are not going to be having that. So it'll quietly get dropped. And like I say, come Christmas, it'll all be back to normal. It's a great idea, but totally unenforceable because the TV companies will just say,
you see,
not having it.
That's wrong then. Like, even say,
of course it's wrong.
You use the Rags as an example. They lost that match in the extra 10 minutes. And then after Christmas, that 10 minutes is not going to be available to another team. So that's...
No, you're right. Of course it's wrong. But then again, football's not there to be right, is it? Sometimes I think they enjoy these arguments. It keeps football relevant. It keeps it fresh. Look at let's get the punters moaning about that City goal against Fulham.
Mm.
It's never been right. And nobody, who on earth thinks that, it'll even itself up out over the season? It can't do, can it? Because what on earth, what is a goal against somebody else equivalent to the goal against another team? Especially if that team gets relegated because of a goal that was, suited City.
Mm-hmm. I think what will change this, Dan, is what changes most things in life is money, because the extra time will eat in the advertising space. And
exactly. The only other thing is, what they'll then change it is what they'll then do is say, right, well, okay then, it did work, but they'll sit down with the TV companies and then say, well, okay, we understand, but we do want a maximum amount of time. And whether we like it or not, over the 90 minutes match, it's come down a little bit, but it was always around 60 minutes. And you know where this is going? 4 spells of 15 minutes. 5-minute spells, you've already got the drinks breaks. you'll have 15 minutes for half time, and you'll have 5 minutes where they can do adverts. You can have your drink, sort yourself out in the middle of the half. Then you can sell more pies. I might start going back then. That'd be great. You can have 3 pies a game. Everyone will be happy. But that's where it's going. 100%. Four quarters of 15 minutes.
That's totally
But it'll be 15 minutes of football.
Well, anything is possible because the way the Saudis are going to try and take over the world of sport. What's your opinions on that, Anne-Marie? The Saudi thing. Surely it's FIFA has got to intervene and then say, right, we need to start putting FFP in there now.
You're right. Yeah, there has to be something. But my argument with the whole thing with FFP is, why are clubs getting hindered for spending their own money? Yeah, you've got clubs in, a lot of these major leagues that are hundreds of millions of pounds in debt, and yet they're not held accountable in FFP terms for anything. So that's what I'd be wanting to see. I'd be wanting to see issues with debt, and I'm not just having a go because it's United. Barcelona are in a similar position. I believe Real Madrid are probably in a similar position. They owe hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds and are not being held to account for it at all. Are getting away with FFP because it doesn't look at debt. Yet we're going out and we're spending our own money, money that we've whether it be through sponsorship deals or money that has been given to us by our owner, which is allowed.
And at the moment, Anne-Marie, you're absolutely bang on. At the moment, it's money we are earning,
Exactly.
through a legitimate business.
Exactly, and that's what I can't kind of get my head around. We're being held to account for spending legally earned money, and yet you've got. I just cannot get my head around that all these clubs that are in debt. I think
I can get my head around it perfectly. It was brought in to stop us being successful.
I know, but then you look at the likes of Leicester. Leicester I think have been investigated, haven't they? Because Everton, and there's another one, and the way they're playing at the minute, they might have a brand new stadium next season, but they'll have no bugger in it.
FFP, if you listen to why it was brought in, it was to stop clubs going bankrupt, right? So how can you have allegedly 3 of the biggest clubs in the world, United, Barcelona, and Real Madrid, hundreds and hundreds of millions in debt?
Thank you, Adam.
Like, what happens if the bank in the morning decides to call in that debt? Say Man United's debt, 600 million or 700 million, whatever it is. What about if that bank decides in the morning, we're calling in the chips, we want to cash our chips out, we want that money? United are gone. Same with Barcelona. So they can't even register players. It's a fucking joke. Like, you're in a financial position where you can't actually register players because you're off your financial mess. And financial fair play is supposed to work.
Thank you, Martin. Brilliant show. Excellent panel. It is now, anyway. It's an excellent panel now.
we do all right.
The timing on that was just impeccable.
It doesn't work. It was like that. Because United weren't successful and Liverpool weren't being successful in Europe, and they tried to bring in that, what they call it, coefficiency points or something from previous victories or games, so they would get into part 1 and all this kind of carrying on. It's just, they just stack the deck against you. But there's no way the Saudis will let them bring in the financial fair play. Not a hope. You can.
Thanks a lot, Keith.
But the Saudis are in a position where they can, don't get me wrong, Salah's a good player, but he's not a £200 million player. No.
But do you know something? You couldn't really blame a Salah wanting to go and do that. I think it's, listen, I don't bring religion or anything like that into football, but you could sort of like more understand it with Salah, going to, how can I put it diplomatically?
Like Mahrez.
Yeah. See, look at smile. You can understand that more because of their religion and stuff like that, going to Saudi Arabia. But when you get in, but when you get in players like Henderson, who's you still say good luck to them if they want to earn. I know they're wealthy people anyway in their own right before going to Saudi Arabia, but players just need to be careful what they say prior going to Saudi Arabia, because Henderson's getting the backlash on that, even from Liverpool fans, and rightly so.
Do you actually think Henderson gives two hoots about what the Liverpool fans or any other fans says about him when he's getting $500,000 a week or $1 million a week or whatever he's getting? He couldn't care less. He'll never see them people again. He'll be living in his big mansion. His kids will be looked after. His grandkids will be looked after. He won't care what Liverpool fans say, or any other fan for that matter.
No, you are absolutely right, mate. And there's got to, in my humble opinion, it's got to be. I'll tell you what does worry me about, and I said it before about FIFA need to get a grip of it. FFP, but we know FIFA and UEFA are corrupt anyway, so the Saudis will probably buy them, to make it happen, because ultimately they want to get into European competitions. How
long did the Gulf hold out against Saudi?
Mm-hmm.
1 season, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Because
Keith says Henderson's actually made it worse by piping up. Absolutely, mate. So they need to be careful for what they're saying. As I say, it's I'm all for people being able to spend money on whatever they want, because who are we to talk about? Obviously Amory's richer than us three on air, but so and certain clubs are richer than others. But at the end of the day, this is sort of like different than, say, an owner coming in and buying a club with wiping the debt and doing what City's done. And really, there's only City what's done that. Forget Chelsea. Despite, because they're still not run right. Even from a thicko at maths, like me, you can tell something's not quite right there.
Yeah, actually reported.
They built something. Not only have they built something with the infrastructure around Manchester and stuff like that, they're developing other teams in other. You only had to, the biggest one apart from is New York City. They built a stadium there, or they're in the process of building a stadium in there because they didn't even have a stadium of their own. And you've got all these other clubs. What they've done. Newcastle won't do that. I can't see Newcastle doing that anyway. Chelsea certainly didn't do that. They only invested in the team, really, and the ground. So City's sort of like different, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, because it's not just about Manchester City. It's about all the clubs that are in the City footballing group, and the list is getting bigger year on year, and we're looking at improving all of these places, and at the same time not taking the focus off Manchester City. That's still like our main priority, and yet everyone else is benefiting from it. All the other clubs within are benefiting from that. So I think the Sheikh, it still makes me laugh when they say, "Oh, they'll get bored and fed up and go." No, they're never going to do that. They're onto a good number with City. They're making money. They've got great contacts within the council to do the business that we need to do within Manchester. We're doing great things for the local community, which wouldn't have been done without City. Andy Burnham must be sat there laughing when he sees what we're doing. By the way. Well, he's a complete and utter bellend, but we're saving him a load of hassle in Manchester because of what we're doing.
Martin makes a great point there, and I totally agree with him. How do Newcastle go on if Saudi clubs allowed into European tournaments? UEFA will have to change the rules. They will, because the Saudi owned. Go on, Stan.
They won't need to change the rules. What they'll do is what they're doing now. They'll make that World Club Championship that comes under the rules of FIFA. They'll start making that bigger. That's how they'll get around it. Because at the moment, like you say, there's nothing UEFA can do to stop the Asian football taking on FFP. Two entirely separate boards. Steve is there, right? You know, you don't have to trust FIFA or UEFA, but at the end of the day, they will go. They will find a way around it because, like it's been said there, greed will conquer all, and they will find a way. And FIFA they'll just expand their own competition. I think they're doing that in 2 years anyway. It's going up to 24 teams in it or something. We've already qualified for it.
Yeah, as Mike says there, the Club World Cup is changing in 2025, Stan, already. Yeah. See, you was pretty much in sync, you two, then. Not in the sync.
If we've repeated anything there, I do apologise. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right there, Martin, it is. So they'll be going down that route and they'll be having a little look at that. Now, you've got to remember, there's always been threats to UEFA from different confederations. If you remember rightly, Charlie Mitten went over to Colombia, Neil Franklin and a lot of the other ones played, and then the Italians and the Spanish were playing a lot of money in the 60s and 70s. Players will always go where the money is, which is fair enough. That's how it is. It's just to think that the English probably get a little bit upset when somebody else comes along and does what they've been doing for a long time, but then end up doing it better than the English. I think
there's one thing what nobody can do better than the English, mate. Tea. Although I don't drink tea, but I just Yorkshire tea. Right, guys.
I've said that, Andy, because I saw that, I think, in the newspaper this week, which was fair enough, that when you've got somebody like Brighton, or not even Brighton, because Brighton are doing all right at the moment, somebody, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th, bottom of the league can go in and buy somebody from Ajax.
Yeah. It's not.
Is that right?
No, it's not done in their own financial structure, is it?
Well, that's the other problem, isn't it? Because again, this is why I mentioned England. It's such a great big outlier. There's 4 billion there, and that's what, twice as much as anyone else. If you finish bottom of the Premier, you'll still get 100 million, and that's probably 20 times the budget of some team that finishes 17th, 18th in Spain. So there's already disparity in the competition. Teams in Lithuania and around there, they don't charge their fans to come in. They can't. They won't go. So how do these teams compete? And we've seen it. You know, these Champions League, the way they spread the money out, they've destroyed a lot of East European leagues. It is what it is. And then now somebody else has come along.
I agree
with more money, the biggest stick, and you don't like it.
There'll definitely be a Super League within 5 years. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Steve is saying. Yeah, but will the fans allow it though? You know,
Andy, what happened during COVID? A club doesn't need fans.
You know something, you're absolutely right, mate. There, that is a great point. To be fair,
you mightn't go as a hardcore supporter, Stan, Anne-Marie, me, whatever, Martin, whatever. But look what happened at Wembley. The hardcore stayed away, and they were replaced by a newer fan base.
Yeah.
So,
spot on, mate. Spot on.
They're going to get these newfangled fans. They're going to go into the club shop and spend silly money and go in there and spend stupid stuff during stadium tours and stuff like that. It's not. That's just going to stand in the way of money.
I hope that's another Calippo, Stan.
Don't worry.
No, yeah, absolutely. And perhaps
look, his season ticket goals. They'd be delighted to have it.
And what we'll do, either in midweek or something, we'll do a show based around that. Do football clubs actually need fans anymore?
No, they
You
don't.
know,
I think it's is it 2% or 2.5% of gate receipts that contributes towards a club's finances?
yeah.
Like, don't forget, Man City are about to turn over $7 billion.
Mhm.
Do you think they need your 700 or 800 quid a year for a season ticket?
They might do for the pies and pints at half time.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Hey,
that's true.
tell you what, they'll need me when they go back to them for 15 minutes and I can get me pie every quarter. Tell you. No matter how big your hotel that you build, you'll not get the money that I can put in. I mean, no, Martin was right there. The season ticket will go back, and they'll just think, great. What we'll do is we'll
double
sell
that and sell it to somebody
and
else.
sell his ticket on to somebody from Sweden who'll pay $2,000 for it. They're not going to miss us.
No.
Sad but true.
It is, mate, to be fair. Right, anybody else got anything before we wrap it up? Because we've done an hour and 17 minutes.
No.
I'm not sure, Martin, that teams underneath would suffer. I think teams that used to go to City, Liverpool and United might start going to Altrincham and other clubs. I don't know. People like to go and watch football. They might just go and start watching Oldhams and your Rochdales and stuff like that. They might start doing it. You don't know, do you?
So, yeah,
There we go.
Keith says, anyway, folks, book my trip to the Waldorf. What the put? I can't say. No, what a stadium! Young Boys Stadium is actually called the Wankdorf. That is just incredible, isn't it? It's actually called the Wankdorf.
Weren't United beaten off by Young Boys
Be
a few
careful,
years
Stan.
ago?
Careful, Stan. We will get taken up there.
No, I'm sure they lost. I'm sure they lost in the Waldorf Stadium, as it's now been called.
Yeah. Before we go, yeah, Martin he'll be doing a stream tonight, 9:30, over on his brilliant channel, The Mancunian Way. I'm sure most of you know that. If you're not a member or anything or subscriber to Martin's channel, do it. Brilliant. What's the topic tonight, Nate? Why fans go early? I'm only joking, Martin. He knows I'm only joking anyway. Yeah. Get over to Martin's channel. You know, there's no City at the minute, because of stupid international breaks and stuff like that. So, let's just talk nonsense we do all season long. But yeah, Martin's not sure what time his own show is now.
It's 9:45. That's what he has up online. It's 9:45 actually, but I didn't want to correct you.
So if you want the correct times, listen to the guys at the 9320 PUBcast. They will be able to tell you the Mancunian Ways times of air. Get over to.
Just before we go, can we just take 1 minute to have a good laugh at that clown that is everything that Man United has turned out to be? Our friends
Manchester United.
Mean him?
Our old friend, our old friend Mr. Goldbridge, the man that knows so much about football that when he gave a long, incoherent, half-time rambling speech, his team went out and chipped him 4 goals in 15 minutes. Well done, Mark. Keep the faith.
Oh, brilliant! Listen, thanks for everybody in the chat. Who's contributed. As I say, it was a free for all. Tonight. No structure. Spoke about anything you want. Big Morg, get message us with the mug you want, buddy, and I'll get that sent out to you. Thank you, Paddy, as always, Stan and Anne-Marie. Thank you for 2 of yous hosting while I was away a couple of weeks ago, Anne-Marie. Thank you very much. Listen, great to be back, and we'll do it all again on next Sunday. Have a good week, all. Bye bye.